I want to take a minute to explain the scoring on the test as you see it and talk about some things that we can do to improve. Here's this question number 4 talking about, it says, describe a sequence of transformations that show polygon A is congruent to polygon B. One common answer that I've received is it says the shapes are the same. The problem with this answer is we already know that because it says right here that polygon A is congruent to polygon B. The other problem with that is that's not what the question is telling you to do. It's saying to describe a sequence of transformations that show that they are the same. We know they're the same. So what we need to do is we need to have a better explanation that shows that. When we're talking about a sequence of transformations, we need to be talking about all of the parts that describe a translation, a rotation, or a reflection. In this case, we have to decide what transformations or what types of moves do we need to make. In this case, the second answer that I've seen a lot of is translation and rotation. However, writing that is still not good enough. We're a little bit closer, but we're still not good enough because it doesn't have any kind of precise nature that tells me exactly how to translate or how to rotate. I've seen other responses where people say rotate 90 degrees and then translate. Now, the thing with this is yes, we're getting closer, but we still are not getting enough. And so I've heard rotate 90 degrees, then translate, 4 units right, right 4 units, and down 2 units. The problem again right here is when I don't know what your center of rotation is, I have no idea where to translate to or from. It's just not enough information. What I'm getting at here is when you're talking about rotation, you must include the center of rotation, the degrees of rotation, and the direction. That direction can only be clockwise or counterclockwise. There are no other directions for rotation. Translation of any form, you need to describe from point to point. Now you might say that's kind of difficult, Mr. Coulter, because there's no points that are actually on here. Well, if you use your drawing tool and we talk about a point, say like this point right here and this point right here are related corresponding points, I could talk about translating this directly across here 4 units to that point. So I'd say figure A, translate figure A 4 units to the right. And then I could talk about rotating around the vertex of point B, or excuse me, the vertex of the top of figure B 90 degrees counterclockwise so that then my shape actually shows up there. I know that that would be the spot, or that's 90 degrees counterclockwise, because when I look at this edge of the figure and when I see my figure actually drawn, I see my figure, well, in its better form, it wouldn't look like this, but figure A, if I translate 4 units to the right, it lands right here. And then I talk about this point right here. The other thing I could do is make a point right here and call this point F if you wanted. And then I could say rotate 90 degrees around point F counterclockwise. But then the question is, how am I going to be able to use that? Well, that's when you go in here and you go and you use your tool. It's just a little bit different, but you go and take a little screen capture of, whoops, forget that that's there. You take a screen capture of that, and then you take that image that you drew like this and put it inside of your answer. That way it's something that I can follow with it and I can see what you did for your work. I hope this helps. This is the same thing that needs to happen on all of these different figures, on all these different images, talking about this thing. This question has 2 parts. And the interesting part is a lot of people answered part A, but they didn't answer part B. So with this one right here, draw me a picture, draw some images, use some tracing paper, trace A, and figure out how to work with this one. For A, there's definitely a translation. There is definitely a reflection. Anything else is not needed. In this case, I would, for this problem right here, problem part B, I would take a very close look at the angles, specifically start right here because this is the only concave angle, and I would compare it to that concave angle and see if they match. And if they do, Then I'm going to go ahead and check another angle or another side length. I would check maybe this one right here, this angle compared to this angle, and see if they're equal in measure. And as you go through that and you check things out, you're going to find out that these figures are not congruent. And so you'll have to be able to talk about why they are not congruent, and remember that you have to include something in there about rigid transformations. Make sure you pay attention to those pieces. That should help you out to do a better job on your test.